I'm going to kind of open this up. Paul is our director of strategy and business development. We're going to kind of tag team you through the next half hour, 45 minutes or so. From an official perspective, I just want to kind of make sure everybody understands this is our annual business meeting. We're not going to be covering a lot of business. I didn't send out anything regarding votes because I don't expect any votes. But I would like to make sure everybody understands that if they do have any business that they want to bring up as a member, to go ahead and put that in, and then we'll address it at the very end of this meeting. I would also like to point out, and when you get an opportunity to go up to the TSANet.org website and click on board members, you'll see there's a not-for-profit. We have a board that is elected by the members. In certain cases, if there is an individual that represents a company that is no longer able to serve in that capacity, there's a mechanism that we have in place for them to put a candidate forward to replace them to fulfill the remainder of the term. And that's happened quite a bit. So we've actually got 3 new board members. So I invite you to go and take a look at that as well. So we really, again, we don't have any voting set up for this meeting. But again, and I don't want to spend a lot of time if there's not a lot of questions. So if you do have something, please go ahead and type it in as we go through the presentation, and then we'll see if we can address it at the very end of the meeting. So Paul, if you take us to the next slide, I'll do the membership real quick. And I think this is important just to kind of start out, let you guys know that we started in 1993. So next year will be, I think, 27 years, if I do the math right. And we're at our highest point of membership that we've ever had before. And that typically is attributed to a lot of the people using TSANet and the custom group capacity and their partner programs and things like that. We're seeing a lot more strategic use out of TSANet. And then obviously, Paul's going to walk you through what we've done with the whole collaboration platform. But again, what we hear from our members is to get more members. We've been doing that. We want to keep on doing that. And then you can see from a revenue perspective that the bulk of our funds come in from the open group members, although some limited members are becoming more and more part of that revenue project. I didn't put a slide together for the budget just to give you an idea from a business perspective. We look at this to try to take all of our member dues and sometimes even put more money into it from a reserve account that we have, but basically try to break even over the long term from year to year. Is where we're at. So we're under an obligation to put that money back into the membership, and we certainly do that. So let me hand it over to Paul. He's going to walk you through some of the strategy stuff with TSANet Connect, and I'll be back and we'll talk to you later.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Dennis. Yeah, so as Dennis indicated, our big thing here over the past couple of years, and you can see here, will continue into 2020, has been TSANet Connect. So the membership and the board kind of approved the initiative of putting together a new collaboration platform. And in 2018, we created that. In 2019, really focused on deploying it. I'll give you a good update on that. And then as we go into 2020, I think you'll see when we give you an updated strategy, they'll be focused a lot on the usage of TSANet Connect. But if you're not familiar with TSANet Connect, there's a couple quick slides here. It is a web portal. It is the single place where all the members go to create a collaboration case with another member. Greatly improved as far as the user experience, very simple to use. It has integrated escalation management, SLA conformance, all of that is built in. And it's also a much more open system than we've ever had, to where members can very easily integrate into their systems and processes. So kind of was the 3 key requirements as we went and built it. And I think we found here during the deployment that those 3 areas really did come out. As far as the process goes, this is how it works. Again, focused on simplicity, and also just focused on making sure the connection is in place. Because what we heard from our members is once the engineers are connected, they're able to work the issue. They really don't need another system in the middle to keep track of what's going on. So they just wanted to make sure there's an extremely easy way to get connection between their engineer and the engineer at the partner site. So that's really what the Connect process does. The sender goes in, they find their member, they complete now what we call a process form, and then that drives some workflow into the receiver. And that could either be simple email alias, it could be connections into their CRM system, but the connection is closed by what we call an initial response coming back. And this is what allows us also as TSANet staff to monitor what connections are being requested, and making sure those responses are coming to where we can either have the system send out automated alerts, or TSANet staff as well can get involved and make sure if there's issues going on here that we take action. But then once that connection is in place, you can see here working the case is between members, and that's happening in their CRM systems, whether they're using email, phone, or some type of a secure site. So that also keeps us out of the data privacy, GDPR, all of those types of things that are concerning members as well. That's just a quick overview of the process. As I highlighted before, it is a very open system. We've had success integrating to a few of these now, and it tends to be, again, not a large IT project. It usually leverages existing functionality in the member CRM system. So for example, for Salesforce, most members are using the email to case, and a lot of other systems have that as well. So the idea is to not force your IT organization to integrate to our system with APIs. We understand what the key systems we're integrating to, and then we come up with easy methods for your IT organization to hopefully just simply configure and get this working. So then, as I said, 2019 was really all about member migration. So we're migrating members from our legacy system, so the member web. We also had another system called Case Exchange. So we're really moving all the members during the course of this year onto the new platform. And we did that through a series of phases. One phase you do not see on here was phase 1, and that was the initial 8 members that joined the system at the same time, and really kind of proved and made sure that everything was working before we started to scale and migrate the rest of the members on. And you can see here the migration, arguably around 200 every 3 months was our plan. Fairly aggressive, but what we did message and with monitoring with the board is we really wanted it to be quality-driven timeline. So working with the members, making sure that they understood if there was any changes needed, what they were, make sure that they fully understood, and the new inbound process, if they had to create one, was up and working before we migrated them. So that has resulted in the current status. We have 422 members that have currently migrated. Just to give you a sense, we had hoped to end this year around 600. I think we're going to fall short of that, probably about 100 or so. If you look at the numbers and where they come from and what we still need to do, you can see here that a majority of our members, as Dennis showed in the membership slide, are what we call limited members. And those actually migrate very quickly once we have the open group member that's hosting that partner program migrated over. So you can see here we've got 184 limited members yet, but they're really only tied to 3 partner programs. And all 3 of these members that have these partner programs we're working with, and we're hoping to be live here, hopefully in a couple of weeks. So I think these 184 will go very quickly. And then as far as basic and premium members, we're probably around the 60-70% mark. You can see here we got 38 in progress. Quite a few of those are just kind of waiting on communication, training, those types of things. And we do expect, based on the current monitoring people that are migrating, we feel that we would be completed at the end of January 2020. So about a month later than what we had originally planned. Taking a look at the next steps for migration, we have really the rest of December and January, we're going to be focused on completing those migrations. We have a couple of members that may need to continue with static documents if needed. So the idea is If we haven't been able to convert you over to the process form, we will migrate your static document. So kind of the as-is process would continue to work. And then the month of January, we'll start to limit access to the old site. So for example, today, if you go to the public web and click on member login, you'll get the option to log into either the old site or the new site. And we'll phase that down to where on the public site, you'll only be able to get to TSANet Connect. And then at the end of January, we will shut the old site down. Everything will be pointed to TSANet Connect. And the month of January is also pretty heavy on the communication to members. So if you're not on this call, there'll be quite a few communications going out to the different members to make sure they understand that the old site is going away. So that's really it for the migration piece. If we take a look then at the 2019 releases, we had 4 releases this year. The first 2 arguably kind of focused on the core functionality. So April, we had the initial system release, and it was a feature complete release. And then June was really focused on enhancements and correcting some things based on member feedback. So really kind of the first half of the year, getting the base system in place and working out the kinks. And then we had the second half of the year, really starting to look at new functionality, also tuning up some of the requirements for TSANet staff to properly monitor and manage the platform. And again, like we said, we want to monitor and make sure all of the collaboration requests are happening. So that required us to create a dashboard and monitor really everything that's going on. So a lot of those enhancements. And then we also had some enhancements around the area of solution support. And that was really kind of a 2-stage process. We made a new process form, and then you'll see in 2019 where we started to pilot a few different things. So the first is the single sign-on, and I'll provide a bit more details on that. The second is piloting a Microsoft Teams integration to TSANet Connect, and I'll give you a quick update on that. And then the other area that we're piloting is automating the initial response. So currently today, there is a button inside of an email that the user has to select, and then it takes them to a form where they enter their information into a few fields. And we basically have now the ability to automate that response. So if your system has the ability to send a triggered email based on events that have taken place, and virtually every system has that capability, including Salesforce, you can now automate the initial response. So I'll give you an update, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And then the other piece that we're doing as we kind of exit this year is really beefing up the production site. So making sure we got a full redundancy and different kind of does this automatic. Okay, so this is an overview of the system releases. Then if we go into a little bit more detail on these pilots. So the first one is single sign-on. We really hope that this will be a functionality that most large members take advantage of. I would say most organizations now, if they have a system, they like to make it single sign-on, just makes it much easier for the users to access it. We are piloting currently with VMware through their Workspace ONE application. And if you're not familiar with single sign-on, it usually there's some type of a single sign-on app, whether it's Workspace ONE or One Login or Ping Identity, whatever it is, there's usually some type of a tile or way that you can discover applications and then access them and use your Workspace credentials to get in there. So it makes it very easy to get access, and even if you don't have access, it kind of does this automatic user provisioning, so it makes it very easy to discover and gain access to the system. And we do see this as we finish off this year. We'll put together some details as far as how this was accomplished. Obviously, any organization that's using Workspace ONE could quickly implement that, but then we'll start to work with other large premium global members to to kind of expand this. And luckily nowadays the single sign-on is all very standards-based, so we see this as something that virtually everybody should be able to take advantage of now. Then the next area, as I was saying, was the integration to CRM systems, and this year we really focused the initiative on taking an inbound request and automatically creating a case. That is in place for quite a few members. I would say approximately 40% of our open group members are automatically creating cases on the inbound request. And then the new piece that's coming here at the end of the year is the ability to automate the initial response, so that that could then kind of automate the full inbound piece. And then for next year, we'll talk a little bit about that in the strategy, but the idea is to start to take a look at the outbound request as well. And then the last piece, as far as pilots, is Microsoft Teams integration. So I had indicated we did some work in the fall release to create a new solution support process form. That form now also has the capability in a solution support partner group. You can activate Microsoft Teams integration. And this picture just kind of explains a little bit how that works. And it really is very similar experience to the main process. So your engineers don't experience anything different. They still go in and select the vendor. They still complete a process form. The difference then is the request that goes to the receiver, and also the update that goes to the sender saying you sent this request over. And that is that it includes a couple additional buttons in that email. One is a link to directly access the Teams channel, and the other is a link to be able to send email to that Teams channel. So then the Teams channel is where the work happens. If you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, it's very similar to Slack in that the fully featured collaboration platform. So you can screen share files, chat, right, whatever you need to do to collaborate and solve the case. So we see this as something that's definitely beneficial in a solution support standpoint, where you have a smaller number of members working together more frequently, and they need something a little bit more rich as far as the collaboration platform. So as we exit this year, we'll continue to keep this in a pilot for probably the first half of next year. We would like to keep our efforts on this particular solution support group that we're working with. But if you feel that you have a requirement that maybe could leverage something like this, feel free to reach out to us as well. Okay, so that kind of covers the TSANet Connect, and I'll hand it back over to you, Dennis, and maybe give us an update on the focus.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And just real quickly, a couple observations on TSANet Connect, because obviously the whole staff has been working really hard this year getting everybody moved over to it. And for years we have struggled, and I know there's some people on this call that have been around for a while. For years, what we've struggled with is actually being able to tell you what the metrics were, how many calls were placed, how many calls were received, all that kind of stuff. Now we can actually do that. And then the other piece of it, that as we've converted members over to TSANet Connect, that I've heard time and time again, was one, now I can get some decent metrics out of this because I can marry that data up. And I think what Paul has done with TSANet Connect and the whole strategy behind this is really hit the sweet spot in that we can at least now give you some data regarding multi-vendor incidents and what's going on with that, without having to dive into getting us in trouble with GDPR and data protection and privacy issues. So I think this has really hit what we need to do. We're, as Paul has mentioned, right, when you say this over and over again, we're simply connecting these endpoints and then letting you track that data within your own CRM system. So it's been very interesting to move people over, and have been very well accepted by the members. So the other thing that we started to really track was this regional focus group concept. And the whole idea behind this was, as an organization, we used to do this quite a bit when travel budgets were a little bit less restrictive than they are right now. And now we're seeing the ability for us to get back together again and to go from place to place on a global scale and be able to get together and have everybody not only network with each other, but also do some presentations from pulling in people and being able to present something. Maybe it's a little outside of the scope of multi-vendor support. We always want to pull that particular aspect of it in. But we'll walk through the next few slides, and you'll see what we've done on a global scale. So we've done this split this up into Europe, Australia, North America, and then we're getting ready to go. Paul will talk about going into Japan. But these are some of the things that have happened. Those of you that have been around for a while would know Rainer Zalanka is one of our consultants out of Europe, used to be with IBM for years, was a former chairman of TSANet and TSANet Europe, and he's done just an outstanding job of being able to really activate and get people involved in these meetings. They get together for a couple of days, they have a nice dinner, that kind of thing, and we've actually kind of followed his lead in North America because he's done such a good job in Europe. And you can see Software AG's been hosting meetings, as well as Atlassian has done that in 2019. We'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do in the future, but that's what we've been doing in Europe. It's been really an excellent, in fact, we're going to schedule on going to holding one of our board meetings in conjunction with another Europe meeting in 2020. We got the last one going. VMware hosted this last one in October out in California. We had Francois come in and talk about artificial intelligence in the support center. Just a really outstanding discussion amongst the whole group there. And you can see that we go around the country doing this when we have our board gets together 3 times a year in North America. And so we just kind of combine these. We've had it up in Microsoft as well as down in Florida. And of course in February, which is a good time to go down there. But we do it North America, and I think the next one we got here is it India, or which one do you got next here? Yeah, India. So this has been another one that's just been really good about taking off. They're a little bit more tactically focused for obvious reasons, but they've been very involved in working with us on TSANet Connect and getting TSANet more exposure within the support center, things like that. Paul actually went there last year and spent some time with them, and we've done teleconferences with them, and another really outstanding group. Again, I'd strongly recommend that you get involved in these and to send either myself or Paul an email. We'll make sure you get hooked up for these next meetings we have, and we're putting this on the website as well. Here's the one in Australia. A little bit fewer people that are involved in that. A little bit difficult to coordinate, obviously, but
requirement that maybe could let
to get growing, and certainly have some key players involved in that in the Sydney area as well. Okay, I think I think that's it on the focus groups.
Yep, that's it on the focus groups. Yeah, okay. and I think I think you did a great job, Dennis, kind of highlighting. We've had great participation. Specifically for the vendors that you saw hosting those, right? So they, put together and make sure, they got a facility for that and invite other folks in and stuff. So I think it's been very, very well received. And as Dennis highlighted as well, I think certainly the Europe focus group and now the North America focus group is starting to bring in these external expert speakers, and sometimes on different topics. And then I think that's been extremely well received as well. So I think you'll see here in the strategy that a lot of very positive feedback from that. So you'll see that playing a big role as we move forward. So let me take you through the next stage TSANet strategy. So just a little bit of overview before I go into details here. It used to be every 3 years we put together a strategy, and then you have kind of 3-year planning. We switched that up to now be a 2-year strategy and then yearly planning cycle. This time, I would say we've involved the members a lot more than we have in the past, primarily because we had these focus groups. So each focus group spent some time in the fall putting together a SWOT analysis for TSANet. And we took all of the feedback from these different SWOT analysis and basically kind of created a overall view of the organization's current state. And you can see here, I'm not going to walk through all the details, but from the strength side, certainly the top three tended to be very consistent through the different focus groups. So they definitely recognize, the organization's been around for a while. The whole active board, I think, comes through over and over. The fact that it's a vendor neutral organization kind of helps things get done even between competitors. And then people also see both the membership base growing as well as TSANet Connect growing. And you can see the regional focus group playing a big role there now in the strengths. People are really kind of seeing that. On the weakness side, you'll see I kind of took all of these weaknesses and kind of bundled them together into an opportunity, right? Which is really the area of TSANet Connect. And as Dennis kind of indicated, we in the past we could hear sometimes things about these weaknesses, but we really couldn't take action on them, and partially because we couldn't really see, exactly what collaborations were happening between different members. So when we hear things like this, it was hard to get the details. But now we have the actual details, and we can reference case numbers at each endpoint and really resolve some of these things. So a lot of this weakness side is really coming down to making sure TSANet Connect is used, and if we have issues that are preventing good usage or inconsistencies, I think now we've got the visibility to resolve that. And then the opportunities, I've categorized these in kind of three different areas, and you'll see how they play out into the future strategy. So the first three is kind of, in this area of figuring out ways to add more members, right? And that's either upgrading existing members, limited to basics to premium. So really kind of getting more members more involved. And then also expanding membership to other areas, maybe other groups inside of the organization. So again, I think that helps drive membership. And this third one, we have started to, and again, this Microsoft Teams pilot we talked about is a solution support group that's much more strategic, right? So now we're
by the members
within organizations on things that aren't, operational and kind of exception-based escalation. It's hey, we want to go to market with this particular type of thing, and TSANet is a core part of that. So again, we see that growing members. The second group, as I indicated before, is all about increasing the usage, and then the third one, I summarize this quite a bit.
Whoop, you there, Paul?
I can't hear him.
I can't hear you, Paul.
Did it just drop out?
There you go. You're back.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, so I was going to say I summarized the focus group because we had a lot of input there, and it really kind of came down to people like the focus groups and what we've done so far, but they really want to see us put even more effort into those and really see it as a key part of the value of TSANet membership. So as we go then into the strategy, we have three different strategy streams for the next couple of years, and these are all focused on driving value into the membership, right? So adding more members, obviously that's a core. Increasing TSANet Connect usage, we kind of highlighted that was viewed as kind of one of the weaknesses on the operational side. And then this third one, expanding the regional focus groups. Again, the viewpoint is that that's really a big part of the value people see in the membership. And even if it's not directly focused on something with multi-vendor support, it's in the area of sharing ideas and best practices and networking, and members really value that. So we kind of see the overall message we want to be able to send is that, through TSANet, you've got the relationships, you've got the tools.
We lost
Paul's
you again.
Yeah, yes, Paul's dropped out again.
If we look at the membership side of things, we have adding more members. And we see this happening through two different areas. We have the member partner programs, which again, that is a big part of how we've grown limited members today. And then also solution support, that is an area as well. And then the other thing that we plan to do is improve the membership model. So this will be a place where we take a look and involve the members and try to get an understanding on how we can improve how members connect and have relationships with other members. Okay. Then the next area is to increase TSANet Connect usage. So we have this one where the focus really is around making sure that we have successful usage. And when we say successful usage, we want to make sure that it's very easy to use, which that tends to be user interface, making sure it's integrated into your environment, but then also some things that we could do on the operational side. So making sure that that you're able to find the partner that you want, and then operationally making sure that when you make that request, you do get a response. And you can kind of see here some of the high level things we plan to do in 2020 or 2021. But again, all really focus on making sure when your engineers go to TSANet Connect and they make that request that all the right things happen, because that'll bring them back for a second collaboration. Okay, and then the third area, expanding regional focus groups. The first thing we plan to do is expand the locations. So we'll add Japan in 2020. Then we'll also plan to expand the participation. I think you saw there in the pictures, we're doing pretty good, but we'd like to get to even more people involved on this. So we'll start to integrate a little bit more into your TSANet Connect profile, the onboarding and renewal process, just really making sure that everyone understands that it's there when these meetings are and when possible to get them to attend. And then the third area is continuing to expand the content. We talked about the Europe focus group and now the North America focus group starting to have some external speakers and some topics that are important in sharing best practices and such. So that tends to be something that that the members have given very positive feedback on. So we'll continue to bring that in. And then you'll see that transition into later in 2020 or 2021, kind of continuing that discussion online. So each group has a face-to-face meeting twice a year. People do like that. That's really where you get the great networking. But the viewpoint is there's definitely ability to kind of connect in between that, ask different questions, kind of keep the community going. Some have kind of done that on their own, but we plan to kind of formalize that and make that a key part as we go into 2021. Okay, and then really the last slide here, Dennis, I don't know if you want to take this or I can.
Yeah,
highlight this.
you know, one of the things that I was just going to mention real quickly was that as we've gone through and migrated people over to TSANet Connect and we want to get that usage back up again, was a lot of people, we've done these little short YouTube videos that are on the landing page now for the members when they log in, sending out slide decks, and a lot of member companies have used the TSANet Connect migration as a mechanism to kind of regenerate and refocus TSANet Connect in general within their support center. So as far as actions and what we're looking to do, obviously, we think that we've got something really good here for you to be able to set up relationships and be able to do that, but that's got to be communicated out to everybody. So we want to work on that as far as working with you to make that happen. Maybe there's some success stories that we can have as we get further in this, and as Paul mentioned and I've talked about before, now we can actually put some accountability behind these calls so we know what's going on and what the usage has been. I'm seeing this more and more. I actually did this yesterday with a member. They're starting to look at TSANet in a little bit broader perspective. And we've kind of been stereotyped into this big, you're a basic premium member and that's all you do. And now we see a lot of companies now using this in the partner program, solution support, different environments. And we want you to do that too, because it's part of your basic and premium membership package to be able to pull these partners in, create your own relationships, pull in those partners that you want to pull in, that kind of thing. And we're seeing that more and more. We want that to happen in 2020. Again, we talked about these regional focus groups. I think is a great benefit as to TSANet, right? This has always been a low volume thing, and sometimes you're looking for additional value. And certainly we've seen this in Europe to where they go, well, I'm part of this focus group and I get a lot out of that. And they're sharing information. We're looking at doing some really interesting things with in a community type environment where everybody can talk with each other and get in and do some networking and sharing and things like that. We want to get your teams involved in it. It may be that there are people that aren't operationally focused that should be involved in TSANet, because we're talking about these other things with solution support and partner programs and things like that. So we want to get you more involved, just like we're an organization. That's what we want to do. Anything else on there, Paul, that I didn't mention that you?
No, I think you did a great job. I mean, I just emphasize that these two kind of complement each other, right? I mean, if you are responsible for TSANet and your goal is to, hey, let's get this TSANet Connect thing working, let's really get it communicated out to our users, get them much more involved in TSANet. One of the easy things is to get people in your other regions to join one of the regional focus groups. So, I would say if you're, in the North America focus group, if you've got some team members in Europe or India or Japan or Australia, get them involved in there. It'll certainly help you get the message of TSANet Connect out.
Okay. So I think we've come to the end here, right? This is the point where we'll say if there's any other business to go ahead and do that. I don't see any questions up. I just real quickly in kind of closing, obviously you can get a hold of Paul or myself, and Stephanie is on here. I just want to say from a staff perspective, we've got a small staff that's been involved with this now for quite some time, and it's just a real pleasure to being able to serve our members. We're very enthusiastic about what we do as an organization, and from a staff perspective, to be able to serve our members has been something that we've been really enjoying for many years. For actually all of us now have been around for a while. So thank you so much for joining us. We'll get this out, slide deck, on behalf of the staff. I really appreciate you joining us, and hope you have a good holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Yep, thanks a lot.